Hey everyone, Bob Thibodeau here, and we've been talking about how to start your podcast and going through a series of short videos on this. We're at the point now where we need to determine a name for our podcast. Okay, now you may have a name that you think is absolutely awesome. Somebody else may already have it. Okay, so the best way of finding that out is to just try and develop a URL for it. The best absolute thing you can do, it has to be unique, describing your podcast, be meaningful, be accurate. You don't want to say, the ultimate baseball podcast and you're talking about hockey, right? You want an accurate name, one that's meaningful, one that's descriptive. So when they see the name, when someone sees that name, they know exactly what this is about. Okay. Now, the best way of doing this is by purchasing a URL that has the .com after it. So like bobthibodeau.com. Because if you have the .com, nobody else has that name. If you can't get the .com, somebody else is using it somewhere. Okay. Now, that may not be an issue in the beginning, especially if you're starting off small. However, nobody wants to have a small podcast, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it, right? You want to grow this thing and possibly even monetize it. And wouldn't it be great if all of a sudden your podcast became viral and you were getting millions of downloads and sponsors were reaching out to you and wanting to throw money at you just to be promoted on your podcast? And then you get a letter in the mail that says, you're using our name. You need to stop. And then you need to change everything, rebrand everything, and everything goes south from there. So to avoid that, the absolute best way is to have the URL with the .com at the end of your name, because if you do that, that doesn't guarantee nobody else in the world is using it. But in this day and age where everything's on the internet, if they don't have the .com, there's a good chance that name is available. Okay. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be a lawyer. I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn to be a lawyer. What you need to do is, if you're really concerned about the copyright and issues and all that, get a copyright lawyer, seek legal advice. Okay. I'm just providing you this information from my own experience. Now, to do that, for this, I'm going to go over here and we're going to look at HostGator. Let me share this screen and tell you what I'm going to do. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, we're just going to come over here, share this screen, and I'm just going to type in here. Let's see, I want to do the domains. So we're searching here, and I'm creating a new podcast right now. We're preparing it. And at the time of this recording, we're preparing it to launch here in about a month and a half or so. And it's going to be called Faith Based Business Podcast. That's the name of the podcast. Okay. So that's what I'm going to type in here. Now we could do, you know, faith based entrepreneurs. See if I can spell this correctly. E, entrepreneurs and .com. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Oh, it's unavailable. See what I mean? That's why we're talking about this. Now, this is going to be faith based businesses, faith based, and I can't even do businesses. .com, faithbasedbusiness.com, not available. Faith based businesses.com, not available, right? So, what we're going to do is I'm calling this faith based business podcast.com. Faith based business podcast.com is available. And that's what we're going to purchase. Okay, that's what we're going to go with right now. You see over here, I already have an account at HostGator. So it's already added this to my checkout procedure. And all you got to do is buy it. Now, I also get privacy protection and all that when I do purchase a domain name. But that's what we're going to do right now. We'll just go ahead and purchase this and continue to checkout. there. And let's see, get that one. What are we doing here? Why isn't this all? I have to read that. Okay. Place your order. I've already got my credit card information loaded in here. And you see I paid basically $12.95 for the domain name. And like I said, I also get the privacy protection with it as well. Okay. That's how you go through and find a domain name that works for you and search to see if anybody else is using it. Now, why did I take, when faithbasedbusiness.com was already taken? Because I'm going for the podcast. That's what I'm creating, the faithbasedpodcast.com. I've already got podcastersforchrist.com and faithcasters.net. And you say, well, faithcasters.net, that's not .com, but I own the .com and all that other stuff that goes with that one. Okay. So that's where the website is. This is just for the podcast. And as we get into setting up your podcast on your host, you'll see why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, because most hosts will provide you with a website. It's a question of how good that website is. This is going to just be to host the episodes. Okay. And I'm not going to get into detail now on that because we'll cover that here in just a little bit. Okay. But that's how you find a name that's not being used for your podcast. And like I said, the faithbasedbusiness.com was already taken, but Faith-Based Business Podcast was not. And that's what this is all about, is creating my podcast. Okay. That's the end of this video. We'll see you on the next one.